A Toxic Love Story is one of those true crime documentaries that feels almost impossible to believe. If this were presented as a fictional thriller, many viewers would probably call it unrealistic. Yet every shocking twist is based on a real case that became one of California's most disturbing miscarriages of justice. At its core, this is not simply a story about cybercrime or false accusations. It is a story about manipulation, obsession, and the devastating consequences of abusing positions of trust. The documentary follows Michelle Hadley, a woman whose life was completely destroyed after becoming the target of an elaborate revenge scheme orchestrated by her former fiancé, Ian Diaz, and his new wife, Angela Diaz. Michelle had once been engaged to Ian, who worked as a United States Deputy Marshal in Southern California. Their relationship eventually ended, largely because Ian displayed controlling behavior throughout their time together. According to the investigation, he constantly monitored Michelle, watched her through security cameras inside their home, and frequently called her whenever she was out of his sight. After their breakup, Ian married Angela. Rather than moving on with their lives, the couple allegedly began planning an extraordinary campaign to frame Michelle as a dangerous stalker obsessed with ruining their marriage. The scheme was remarkably detailed. Over several years, Ian and Angela created dozens of fake email accounts and online identities. They carefully built a false digital history designed to make it appear that Michelle was harassing them. One anonymous account using the name Lilith is Truth became central to the investigation. Authorities initially believed Michelle had created this account to threaten the couple. The most disturbing part of the scheme involved fake online advertisements. Someone posted violent fantasy advertisements claiming that Angela wanted strangers to come to her home and assault her as part of a role-playing scenario. The advertisements contained enough personal information that investigators believed Michelle had published them in an attempt to terrorize Ian and Angela. The accusations appeared convincing. As a result, Michelle was arrested. She spent 88 days in jail for crimes she did not commit. Her reputation was destroyed. Her freedom disappeared, and much of the evidence against her appeared overwhelming. The investigation might have ended there if not for one critical breakthrough. Digital forensic experts carefully traced the origin of the emails, online accounts, and electronic communications. Instead of leading back to Michelle, the investigation uncovered something completely different. The electronic evidence pointed directly toward Ian and Angela themselves. The fake accounts had been created using devices connected to them. The elaborate campaign they blamed on Michelle had actually been orchestrated by the very people claiming to be victims. This discovery completely transformed the case. Rather than exposing a stalker, investigators uncovered an elaborate conspiracy designed to frame an innocent woman. One of the biggest questions the documentary explores is motivation. Why would Ian and Angela go to such extraordinary lengths? The documentary never provides one simple answer. However, much of the evidence suggests Ian's need for control played a significant role. His previous relationship with Michelle reportedly involved possessive and controlling behavior. Unable to accept the relationship ending, revenge appears to have become more important than simply moving forward. Angela's exact level of involvement remains more complicated. Each blamed the other for planning the scheme. Ian later claimed Angela acted independently. However, investigators concluded that both participated in creating the false evidence used against Michelle. Neither accepted meaningful responsibility for the devastating consequences. The ending of the documentary focuses on whether justice was ultimately served. After years of investigation, federal prosecutors finally brought charges against Ian Diaz. In 2023, he was convicted of conspiracy to commit cyberstalking, perjury, and obstruction of justice. The court sentenced him to 10 years and 1 month in federal prison. Ian later appealed the conviction, arguing mistakes had occurred during the trial. However, in 2025, the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals rejected his appeal and upheld every conviction. As a result, Ian remains in federal prison serving his sentence. Angela faced criminal consequences much earlier. She was arrested in 2017 and pleaded guilty to multiple charges, including kidnapping, false imprisonment, forgery, and filing false police reports. She received a 5-year prison sentence. After receiving credit for time already served while awaiting sentencing, Angela was released on parole in 2020. She now reportedly lives in another state, although her exact location has not been made public. She also declined to participate in the Netflix documentary. The ending leaves viewers with mixed emotions. On one hand, the legal system eventually corrected one of its most serious mistakes. Both Ian and Angela faced criminal punishment for what they did. Michelle's innocence was fully established. On the other hand, the documentary reminds viewers that no prison sentence can truly restore everything Michelle lost. She spent nearly 3 months behind bars for crimes she never committed. Her reputation suffered enormous damage. Her emotional trauma cannot simply disappear because later investigations uncovered the truth. Perhaps the most frightening aspect of a toxic love story is how believable the false evidence initially appeared. The case demonstrates how carefully manufactured digital evidence can convince investigators when viewed without proper forensic analysis. It also highlights the importance of thoroughly verifying electronic evidence before reaching conclusions that can permanently alter someone's life. Ultimately, a toxic love story is not simply about one shocking criminal conspiracy. It is a cautionary story about obsession, abuse of power, and the dangers of manipulation in the digital age. Most importantly, it reminds us that while justice may eventually arrive, it often comes far too late for those whose lives have already been shattered. By the end of the documentary, viewers are left with one overwhelming truth. Michelle Hadley survived an unimaginable injustice, but her story serves as a powerful reminder that the pursuit of truth requires patience, evidence, and the willingness to question even the most convincing accusations.